Thank you, Scott. I appreciate it, Scott. All right, well, this is the official welcome to Just Breathe, We've Got You. This is the first in a series of 3 that we're going to be presenting later this year. For those of you who don't know me, I'm Jane Young. I'm the interim executive director here at the Shepherd Center, serving Oakton, Vienna, Reston, and Herndon. And we are so excited today for today's speakers. They are truly experts in their fields, and we hope that you will leave today fully appraised of all of the options available to you as you or a loved one move into the next step of life. Today's presentations could not have been done without the support of our sponsors. A big thank you to Navy Federal Credit Union, which is their featured speaker today is Anne-Marie Ferdinando. She's going to be speaking on financial fitness for life. We're also grateful to AARP. Their segment will be led by Katherine Pons. She is their community ambassador. She's going to be sharing tips on creating a plan for caregiving. Our third section will be led by Katie Courlander of Katie Courlander Yoga, and she's going to share techniques on relaxation and breathing, a little something that's good for everybody. Our final segment will be led by Angela Bailey, the Executive Director at Kensington Senior Living Reston, and they're going to be opening real soon, I believe in 2021. She's going to share with us how senior living facilities have addressed the COVID situation. It's very challenging for all of them. But before we move into the presenters, I wanted to take a few minutes to tell you a little bit about the Shepherd Center. And I think we had chatted a little bit beforehand, so this may be a little redundant, but for those of you that joined late, I'm just not sure all of you out in Zoom land are familiar with us. So at the Shepherd Center, our vision is creating a world without loneliness. We know that during these unprecedented times, more than ever, staying connected is vital to reducing isolation, depression, and loneliness. This vision is the impetus for all we do. In a nutshell, the Shepherd Center is like 3 prongs. We offer free services, enrichment programs, and volunteer opportunities for seniors in the community. As you can imagine, the pandemic has caused us to totally revamp many of our services and programs in order to protect both our seniors and our volunteers. We are perhaps best known for transportation, free rides to medical appointments, just errand running. We pulled back in the spring because of the virus, but we are now fully operational now since June. And since then, we have given well over 100 of our clients rides to various doctor's appointments, lab tests, just errand running. Our drivers are also shopping for, picking up, and delivering food to our homebound clients. Another one of our free services has always been friendly visitors and friendly callers. Obviously, during the pandemic, we're not visiting in homes, so all of our friendly visitors have become friendly callers. Our goal is to have every one of our clients, and I believe we have about 300 of them, paired with a friendly caller, someone who'll call them and say, how are you? What do you need? If there is a need, they need food or they need their prescription picked up, the volunteer caller will call us, and then we'll get another volunteer to try and meet that need. So our friendly callers have become very, very important during this pandemic. We also offer handy helper services, both in the home and in the yard. Again, we're scaling back. We're not able to go into the homes, but our handy helper volunteers are not currently working in our clients' yards. And this helps them to, excuse me, maintain and age in place, much more gracefully than they could have. Our newest initiative is a veterans-friendly caller. So it's volunteer veterans calling veteran clients. Veterans seem to relate much better with each other. So this is our newest service that we're offering, and so far we're doing pretty well with that. The second part of our mission is our programs. We have pivoted, as we are today, all of our programs to a virtual format. We offer 3 semesters each year of enrichment programs called Adventures in Learning. That's tied with our Tai Chi, which is offered. We have 3 semesters, as I said, each semester is 8 weeks. We also offer the active aging class that we talked about earlier on Wednesdays. That's weekly. We have a bi-monthly, twice monthly caregiver support group, which is very popular, and then a monthly Great Decisions book discussion group. Many of our activities, we do senior socials, bingo, dances, luncheons. Can't do any of that. But we were able to Zoom both our annual clergy breakfast and our volunteer appreciation luncheon. So we were happy to be able to do those. To maintain social connectivity, but still be socially distant, we've also offered a virtual wine tasting and a virtual jewelry trunk show. Our development committee has plans for several additional virtual activities between now and the end of the year. Actually, we have a second wine tasting scheduled for November 13th because that was so much fun and so well received. And then we're going to be offering a cooking class with a local chef also in November. I did want to reiterate what Scott said about Zoom etiquette. If you would all, mute yourselves, and then if you have a question, each presenter is 20 minutes, and then there's 10 minutes Q&A after each. So if you'll just raise your hand, we'll acknowledge you, and then you can unmute yourself.
I hear you.
Pardon me?
Oh, okay.
And then,
that was Pixie. Pixie was bombing the session here. Our office volunteer.
We're volunteer based. Everybody who works, we have obviously an executive director and a very small professional staff, but pretty much everybody who works here is a volunteer. So Pixie is one of our wonderful volunteers. Anyhow, I think we're ready to get on with our first speaker. So Katherine is from AARP. She is a community ambassador volunteer, and she's going to give us advice on creating a caregiving plan. So thank you, Katherine, for spending your morning with us, and we all anxiously await your presentation. Thank you. I'm going to mute myself now.
Okay.
All right, hang on, Katherine. I'm going to allow you to share your screen here in 1 second.
All right.
All righty. You should be able to share your PowerPoint now. Go ahead and give it a shot.
Okay, so
you hit the green share screen button at the bottom. It should open up a series of if your PowerPoint should be open on your screen, you can select it. There's two little boxes at the bottom you need to check to share audio.
Okay, hold on, give me 1 minute. I'm sorry, it worked perfectly when I test drove this earlier. And okay. And are you able to see my screen?
Not yet. Did you hit the little share button down in the lower right?
Yes, I did.
Once you opened up the PowerPoint?
I did, and nothing's happening. I'm sorry.
These are the technical glitches. I apologize.
That's right. Okay, can you see it now?
Something's coming up. Yeah, there you go.
Okay, very good.
Perfect. So just put it in, there you go, from the beginning. You should be good to go.
Good. Sorry about that. I always practice and make sure everything is queued up, but nevertheless, this is the fun of it all. So good morning, everyone. And Jane, thank you. And thank you, Scott, for getting us all set up today. And I just can't tell you how pleased we are at AARP to be part of this initiative this morning. So today we are going to be focusing on preparing to care. And it is around being a caregiver and ways in which you can facilitate that process for you, family members, friends. And we'll be focusing on supporting you and your loved ones. Please, if you have questions, jot them down, and at the conclusion, we will take everyone's question. So let's get started. Caring for a family member or a close friend, quite frankly, is one of the most important roles that any of us can ever play. It can start pretty basic, like driving a loved one to get groceries or driving them to the doctor. As time goes by, you may find yourself taking more time off from work, preparing meals, handling bills, and tasks of that nature. But no matter where you are in the journey of family caregiving, just beginning to anticipate a need or helping to coordinate a big move, etc., having a good framework to guide you and your loved one will make the process a lot easier. So today we'll focus on 5 steps, and these are important steps to create a caregiving plan. Then we'll talk about connecting with other family caregivers, again, today and subsequently, so that you can share tips and information. And then most importantly, we'll share some resources that are available to you. To help you get a picture of today's family caregiver, I'm going to ask you a few questions. Do you help a loved one with household tasks such as cleaning, laundry, or yard work? Perhaps help a loved one with medications, and that can be anything from picking up their medications from the pharmacy to helping them organize their medications in a pill sorter on a weekly basis. Perhaps you regularly cook or provide food for a loved one. Do you provide personal care, such as bathing or dressing? Do you provide emotional support and companionship? Perhaps you communicate with health professionals and coordinate health care. So if you answer yes to any of these questions, you are or have been a caregiver. Because frequently when we are helping out family members or friends, we don't think of it as caregiving. But again, all of these tasks that you see here are representative of what we do as caregivers. Which leads us to step back and think about our preparedness to be a caregiver. Imagine I am tossing you a ball each time I read the following statements. Take mom or dad to medical appointments. Pick up a prescription. Organize and help ensure mom takes her medication. Call the insurance company. Shop for groceries, cook meals, go to work, pick up your kids from soccer, pay mom's bills, take kids to school, take mom to the beauty shop. When you think about all the balls that I threw at you for each of those, it's pretty difficult to juggle, pretty difficult to keep all of those balls close at hand as you go about your daily day. And that's something that is so important to be aware of. Again, thinking about all the tasks you're juggling, not simply those that are associated with the person for whom you are caring, but also what you are doing for yourself and for your family. And this is why having a plan is so essential. Because having a plan allows you to be able to be a lot more organized and coordinated as a caregiver. So there are 5 steps to creating a plan, and we'll go through each of these 5. Start the conversation, form your team, make a plan, find support, care for yourself. And notice where make a plan is. It's at number 3. And you'll get a better sense as to why in a moment. So let's start the conversation. This is perhaps one of the most challenging aspects of caregiving. Because most families, I shouldn't say most, perhaps many families, avoid discussions about the future simply because they don't want to think about the changes that inevitably occur in our lives and the lives of our loved ones. Unfortunately, many of us wait until a crisis occurs before we talk about values and preferences, our wishes for healthcare, or details about finances. We know it's never easy to bring up what you think will be an uncomfortable topic. However, a lot of uncertainty can be avoided if you talk with your loved one before a crisis occurs. Again, it's easy to put these conversations off because they can be difficult. But you may be surprised to find that your loved one has been meaning to talk about these topics as well. So look for an opening. This is not the time this is not the type of subject you bring up right in the middle of a heated debate or a heated discussion you're having with the loved one. No, you really want to wait until there is receptivity, not only on your part and that of other family members, but most importantly, with your loved one. And again, some examples of how you can break the ice would be saying things such as, I'm starting to think about estate planning. Do you have any advice? Or I just read an article about gathering all your important papers. Sometime, can you show me where yours are and what you'd like us to do just in case? And the reality is with COVID-19, it's a bit easier just because of the nature of the pandemic. There are lots and lots of articles, more so than ever before, about planning for the future. So take advantage of these articles and share them. Respect your loved one's wishes. Make sure that they are participating. This is not the time to sit down with your siblings while mom and or dad are in the other room watching TV to say, now, what are we going to do about mom and dad? No, they do need to be included in the conversation, which is why timing is so important. And then third, size of the situation. Once you get the conversation going, evaluate what you are hearing, which it goes without saying means listening carefully, listening not just to what is being said, but listen to how it is being said and listen for the meaning behind the words that are being used. Understand your loved one's priorities because that will help you determine the next step. Review finances. This is perhaps the most difficult part of the conversation, but again, that includes bank accounts, investments, insurance coverage, other finances, assets, or income. And be thorough, because oftentimes people may forget that they have that credit union account that they had kind of forgotten about that they started 20 years ago. So keep in mind that this particular part of the conversation may take place over a period of time because you want people to be thoughtful about their finances as well as thorough. So be prepared for, I just don't want to talk about it. Be prepared to counter that resistance. Sometimes it means stepping away and say, you know what, doesn't sound like this is a good time for you. Let's talk later. Try again. And again, if you're still running into difficulty, it may mean that you need to involve another family member. The second step is forming your team. You don't have to go it alone. Caring for a family member or friend can be too big of a job for one person. Trying to do everything yourself may lead to burnout. And I can relate to this personally because right now we are caring for my mom. And fortunately, my siblings all pitch in their own unique ways. And having that team has made it just such a joy to be able to care for her as she is just about ready to turn 100. So, again, have that team. You don't have to go it alone. As we think about forming that team, look for team members who live nearby because it helps. Now, every team member does not need to live nearby, but you do want members of the team who live nearby. And those who can help with simple tasks. Remember, no task is too small. You may have a team member who picks up the phone and calls your loved one on a daily basis. That is tremendously important. Conversely, you may have someone who goes by to help them take their medicine every day. Again, all of these tasks are important. And share your talents. Leverage the talents and strengths of each member of the team. And remember, team members don't have to be limited to family. Again, they can be friends, they can be neighbors, but again, the commonality has to be the desire to care for your loved one. As you think about building your team, think about the number of members. You don't want too many because it does need to be manageable and everyone does need to be dependable. However, you do want to make certain that you have an adequate number of people to meet the needs at any given point in time. And with that in mind, keep in mind the number of team members may change as the situation and circumstances with your loved one change. Be sure to assign specific roles and responsibilities. There's nothing worse than that oft-used phrase, "I thought you were." So again, and everyone means well. Remember that. People mean well, but the more specific and exacting you can be with assigning roles and responsibilities, you will find your life will be made tremendously easier. And last but not least, focus on the care recipient. The person receiving the care should play a significant role in determining who should be on the team and, most importantly, what needs to be done. Now we get to make a plan, and I hope you see why having the conversation and building your team is so important before you begin to actually make the plan. It is critical that you always make sure your plans are being made with the person you're caring for who's at the center of the discussion. And by the way, there are situations where your loved one may not be in a state with their health that they are able to participate. So we recognize that. But on the other hand, the earlier you can begin to care or to plan and start the conversation, the better. Also, think about yourself now. You know, for all of us, this is one thing that my personal opinion, we cannot start too early, helping our children think not just about caring for us, but also about how they want to be cared for. So be sure you include your loved one. The plan should include immediate needs as well as plans for the future. And keep in mind that options for addressing needs will depend on finances, the willingness of your support team, and the resources available in your community. Hold a team meeting. You know, meet with the caregiving team, and you want to assess the goals and needs of your caregiving plan. So what is it that you want to achieve? And again, you're looking immediately and you're looking into the future. And then delegate responsibilities. And have your loved one, again, be a member of that, participate in that meeting if at all possible. Because it's important that they have a say. One of the most challenging aspects of aging is when people feel as though they're being set aside, decisions are being made for them, and they are being treated like children. And none of us want that for our loved ones. So be sure to include them to whatever degree is possible, even if it's something as simple as talking to them about what will be happening versus surprising them. Oh, meet your new homemaker, you know, meet your new caregiving aide. And they're totally unaware that this has been arranged. So again, include them. And it's important that you communicate with every member of the team, keep everyone informed of the plan, and there may be other family members who are not members of the team, by the way. Keep them informed also. Because they cannot be a hands-on member of the team does not necessarily mean that they don't care. There may be friends who you want to include as well. And then take notes during the meeting. A written summary of the plan helps ensure that the wishes and needs of your loved one have been considered and included. Once you have the plan, then you want to find support. As I indicated earlier, this is not the time to attempt to go it alone. If you've come to realize that the scope of care needed for your loved one is beyond what you or your team can provide, it's okay to reach out for extra support. And there are a number of ways you can obtain the support that you need. Here's some tips. There are all kinds of community resources. And as Jane mentioned earlier with the Shepherd Center, again, there are tremendous resources there. I mean, I'm in awe of all that the center does. And that's just one example of a community resource. There are local agencies on aging that can help point you in many, many different directions. There also is an elder care locator that is a public service of the United States Administration on Aging, and it connects caregivers to local services and supports. Any of the resources, by the way, that I mentioned today are included in the AARP Prepare to Care Guide. And before we wrap up, I'll share with you information on how to access the Prepare to Care Guide. But please take a look at those resources because your needs will evolve. You can also consult a professional. Again, there are people, and many of them are located in the elder, or their information is included in the elder care locator that I referenced earlier, that is published by the U.S. Administration on Aging. And again, these can be trained social workers, nurses, health aides, those who can provide emotional or even financial support. Another resource that often surprises people, particularly for those of you who are continuing to work, would be your company employee assistance program. They also can connect you to professionals and resources in your local community. So as you can see, there are a tremendous number of resources out there, and they're designed to augment all that you are doing for your loved ones. Some more ideas for support: hire help. Again, sometimes the help will be long-term. Sometimes it's going to be on an as-needed basis. Secure the safety of your loved one. Cannot emphasize this too much. And in fact, AARP has what we call a home fit guide, and that can be found at aarp.org/homefit for a whole range of solutions. And there'll be things that had not even occurred to you could be of value to your loved one. And that overall, it provides tips, suggestions, worksheets even, and resources to make a home a lifelong home, because many of our loved ones truly do want to remain in their homes. And then explore housing options. And this can be pretty daunting, but again, it is important. Housing options, keep in mind, may also change over time. So again, if you look at AARP site, there are again resources that you can tap into that help you explore housing options. There also is, Medicare publishes a nursing home guide that has a comparison guide included that will help you compare one nursing home to another. And I know later on we're going to talk about assisted living in the reality of COVID today, excuse me. So that hopefully will give you some additional tips to consider, because as we look at exploring housing options in today's world of COVID, there are considerations that need to be included that perhaps would not have been as relevant a year ago. And then last but not least, care for yourself. Again, don't overlook the impact of that caregiving has on you. again, please tap into resources, and tap into resources before you reach your limit, because you don't want to be so exasperated that you just feel that you just can't go another step. Bring in resources early on so that you are able to achieve that balance. Use technology. Again, there's a tremendous amount of technology. In fact, with many assisted living facilities and nursing homes today where, and obviously this can apply to the home as well, but where visitors are limited, technology is making quite a difference as far as being able to spend time with loved ones. And again, it means that you are able to be there, if you will. Review finances, your finances, not just the finances of your loved one, because again, there are expenses that we often incur as caregivers, and you want to make certain that you are able to be planful about your own personal finances. Talk to your doctor, make sure you are looking out for your health, and take a break. Make time for exercise, sleep, healthy eating, staying connected with friends, family, loved ones. And fortunately, this morning, we're going to be learning some breathing techniques. So again, don't minimize the importance of that. So again, I hope you've had an opportunity, and I know this is very high level, but it's very important. And hopefully you have a better understanding of how to be that anchor for your loved one at such a critical point in their lives. What you see here are resources that are available on the AARP site. And let me reemphasize that with AARP, you don't have to be a member to access these resources. So again, obviously, it really does make a difference having these at your fingertip. So to the left, there is the Caregiving Resource Center that has a tremendous amount of information. And then we have our Learning at 50 Plus, because we do participate in events similar to this morning to help you plan for your family and their future. So with that, we will take questions.
Thank you. So that was really informative. I particularly liked the part about throwing balls with every task. I was a caregiver for 15 years, and as an only child, I didn't have a team. So I personally really relate to that. Does anybody have questions? I'm not seeing the full screen here. Let me see. If anybody has a question, just unmute yourself, please, and ask Katherine. Anyone?
Katherine, this is Scott. I'm not really Jane.
Yes.
And I know this is an enormously, this could probably be a 20 or maybe a 200-minute conversation as well. But I wonder if you could talk maybe just a little bit about how you tie like long-term care insurance or those sorts of things into your plan potentially, and what kind of role they can play. And I haven't looked into this lately, so I must admit I'm not particularly knowledgeable about that.
Mm-hmm. Well, I'm not an expert on long-term care. Obviously, I have an understanding of it. But when we talk about planning your finances, that's so crucial to include, because what you want to think about, and this is back to the point I made earlier about planning in advance. So first of all, you want to make sure your family knows you have long-term insurance, because you may reach a certain point in your life where you've kind of forgotten that you paid that premium, all those years, and it's important that people are aware of that. And then you want to look at what is included in your particular plan, what's covered. And with that, balance that out with the needs. But, again, this is where I will refer you back to the AARP site. But I will also say one of the interesting aspects of long-term care insurance is that ties in with caregiving is that what your needs are will evolve. And what you want to think about when you're looking at your policy is whether or not it just throws everything, how is it designed? Is it designed in a way to provide support over an extended period of time? And does that support grow? And does it allow you to augment your personal finances, if you will, as your needs grow? Does that
Thank you. Yes.
help?
Yeah, I know it's a long, complicated
Oh,
issue.
Well, you forewarned me. But again, I will say, when you think about long-term care insurance, the fundamental piece of all of this is communication. Because someone has a stroke, they can't speak, they can't communicate, but all of a sudden they need intensive care. Well, if your family doesn't know you have that policy, it's not going to be of value. So this gets back to planning early in life for a variety of possibilities.
Great. Are there any other questions from anybody here? No? Well, thank you, Catherine. I appreciate all the many things. All right, so we are ready to move into our second presenter, and that's Anne Marie Ferdinando. She's the Regional Outreach Manager at Navy Federal Credit Union, and she's going to be telling us how to be financially fit for life. So thank you so much, Anne Marie, and we're going to let you go ahead and get started. Just a few minutes early, actually.
Okay. Good morning, everyone. My name is Anne Marie, and I really want to thank you all for inviting me to your discussion this morning. This is wonderful. Navy Federal is so pleased to be a member of your community, so thank you. These conversations and this sharing that we're doing this morning is a perfect example of a strong community of support. And you know what? I wanted to start with, it is unfortunate though that at the same time that there's a lot of good and a lot of great connection out there, the technology that we have today in our complicated world, it also gives the criminal type of people a chance to commit fraud. And so they are actively targeting all age groups. And because I'm the money lady, I want to talk about your finances and protecting your assets. I also want to talk about the technology. I also want to talk about how to stay safe. And you know what? It's easy. So let's look at it this way. You're all on this call today, so you're all enjoying technology and connecting and the benefits of this amazing tool. So let's just be aware of the challenges that exist out there. I'm really grateful to all the members of our credit union who over time have shared their stories with me or come in for advice. And so now I can share with you. And I really think that this is the best part of having conversations, is we are learning from each other all the time. So let's talk about staying safe, protecting ourselves and our assets from fraud. It all starts with a conversation. It all starts with creating awareness, the wonderful tools of technology, the ease of use, can also, like I said, create a situation where others can take advantage. But I love how technology is supporting us financially these days. I must say, paying your bills online, I don't know if any of you have tried it yet, but it is a wonderful thing. I remember when I had to write out a check, I had to stamp and address that envelope. I had to go to the post office to mail those things. This took a lot of time. But now with technology, just in this one little instance, we can just set up our bills and our payments. They can happen automatically for us, or with a couple of clicks. Once a month, we pay them all, and it's minutes, and we can move on to much more fun things in life. So I love that personally. No more statements are coming in the mail for me. You know, if you still get bank statements in the mail, you can turn those off. No more account information, no more of my checks going outward in the mail and all these statements coming in. So all of this information in the paper form can be totally eliminated, which can protect us a lot. So we want to share today how to stay safe, stay well. And I'll tell you that, you know, the bad people, the fraudsters of the world, they know how to play on our emotions and our basic human vulnerabilities, because we love to connect with each other. We enjoy that. We respond to each other just like we're doing here. And sometimes people take advantage of that. So we just have to be aware. As a branch manager, which I did for several years, I would teach my team, that is the tellers on the teller line, the platform representatives, I tell them, be aware of 3 common tactics. A fraudster who wants to take advantage may, number 1, be so kind and so familiar with you so that you're distracted and you put your guard down. You don't really know this person, but they're expert at making you feel like they care for you deeply and very quickly. Just be aware, if it feels disingenuous, it probably is. Or the opposite, number 2. Someone who wants to take advantage of you may use bullying tactics. They may want to distract you into feeling you're doing something wrong, make you feel pressure. And sometimes, number 3, either one of those possibilities is coupled with that pressure to think fast and act fast. So they may create a sense of urgency for you where there really is no emergency, but they make you believe that there's an emergency, that you need to act fast. And that's just to knock you off balance so that you make a mistake. So I like to tell my teams and offer you the suggestion to slow down, just slow down and just breathe. Just like the title of our, conversation today. That is going to be the best advice for so many things. That's exactly what I did just the other day when I received a fraudulent call pretending to be my electric company. And I've got to tell you all, this made me very anxious. And I'm very aware of what goes on because I've been in the banking industry for over 30 years. And I think I've heard every story. And yet, when I answered this call and they told me that my bill has not been paid and my electric is about to be turned off in 2 hours, I became very anxious and nervous. And I had to just slow down and stop and breathe. But then I got mad at myself. But I've got to say, it's a normal human reaction. We don't expect someone to interrupt our day who's trying to cause us harm. We just don't expect it. So when you're thrown off guard, again, things happen. But I slowed down. I hung up the phone. I did not talk to them any further. And that's how you want to do it. So how do fraudsters reach you in your home? Well, one of a few ways. Number 1 is the telephone. Number 2 is the internet and your email. Number 3, right on your doorstep sometimes. Let's start with the phone conversation. You may answer the phone and they may pose as a fake charity. They need money for this wonderful cause and they need it quickly. Number 2, they may claim that you have a family member in trouble who needs money. That is very sad, but very common. Number 3, famous one right now is, congratulations, you won a prize. they have this amazing prize for you. And you know what? You only have to pay them a few dollars just so that they can send that prize to you or something of the sort. Number 4, they are the IRS. You have not paid your taxes and you're actually going to jail. I actually got one of these calls. They told me I was going to jail because I haven't paid my taxes. It's very much like the electric company story. Or how about they are the Social Security Administration. And if you don't verify your Social Security number and all of your information right now, your payments are going to stop. Well, I'd like to share another story. As Katherine stated earlier, there are many people who forget about their credit union account that they opened 20 years ago. This happens. You know what? You open a bank account, you want to save a few dollars in it, and then you sort of forget about it. And this is where I come in. So part of my job with the credit union is to call our members and say, hey, you forgot about this money, or we just want to activate this account for you. But I want you to know that when I am calling from a legitimate, honest organization, I will never, ever ask you for any personal information, and I don't when I'm calling. So number 1 thing to remember is, if someone is getting on that phone with you and asking you for personal information or a credit card or anything of the sort, please hang up the phone. Now, if you think there's a possibility that there was some legitimacy, then look up the published number for that organization and call them back. It's that simple. Just be sure, because no one should ask you for personal information, being Social Security numbers, dates of birth, credit card numbers, account numbers. No one should ever be asking you for that over the phone, especially when it's an unexpected call. So now, the other way they might reach you is through the internet and your email. Again, fraudsters like to play on your emotions. They'll instill fear or simply trigger your curiosity or take advantage of your caring nature. They're trying to gather information, little pieces of information, like I just outlined. The more they can get, it's kind of like a jigsaw puzzle. The more little pieces of information about you that they gather, the clearer this picture becomes, and the more easy it is for them to take advantage. Things that are sure signs. If you get an email and the English is very poor, I bet you've all seen this. There are all these words misspelled or these very strange grammatical errors. If you get something like that, be sure to delete it right away, because that is any, again, legitimate company will have their information edited, and it'll be very clear, and it will be in clear, well-written English language. So if it's not, that's a key. Also, if there's a link and it says you must click on this link right away, again, urgency and a link, and there's a reason because you're going to see something or learn something so important, please don't do it. It's not worth it. It will probably lead you down a rabbit hole of giving up information or getting deeper into whatever scam they're perpetuating. Also, remember, taking advantage of your good nature, your loving nature is a big problem out there. So fraudsters will look to promote the friendship with you, even a romance, quite common. They'll sometimes take their time to befriend you. And I mean, everything isn't such an urgency when it comes to email. They may create a relationship with you, and they may take weeks of even months getting to know you and making you believe that they are truly your friend and then suddenly they have an awful emergency and they have a sudden need for money, your money. And because they are your friend, you're probably going to want to help them. This is unfortunately a very common scam. Now also be careful on your doorstep. Fraudsters may knock on your door. They may tell you, I work in the area, I am a contractor, and I noticed that your roofing shingles need repair. I can help you with that. They will always ask for money up front. They may or may not perform any work. They may do shoddy work or no work at all, but they probably already have your money. So you want to be careful about that. Be in control. If you would like to have some work done on your home, you call the company. If someone's coming to you, just beware. In your mailbox. Fraud can happen in your mailbox. There's a check in the mail. It's exciting. Who doesn't love a check in the mail? This is fantastic, isn't it? It's unexpected. You're not aware of the source of this check, but hey, it's found money, so that's fun. Even I feel that way, everyone does. But it may very well be a scam. Very often these will accompany instructions that you can go ahead and cash that check and keep a small portion for yourself as a thank you. And then please wire the rest back to us. You're just helping us out so much and we appreciate you. Very common scam. So there are golden rules in the financial business. And when you follow them, it's so easy to stay safe. It really is, and avoid all of these things and protect your assets and your peace of mind. The golden rules are really simple. First, slow down. Just breathe and let your instincts lead you. They won't do you wrong. But you have to slow down. We all need a moment to think about things instead of reacting. Remember me with that electric being turned off? I got anxious. Not a good thing. So slow down and breathe. Number two, verify. If they say it's your bank calling, then verify that. Say, okay, thank you. I'm going to just call you right back. Get off the phone with them and go ahead and call your bank back and see if it was really them. Stop. Just stop. Because no reputable person or organization will demand your money instantly. So stopping whatever you're doing works every time, because no one demands anything of you that instantly. Everything takes time. It's okay to take your time. Together, we can stay safe and win. By sharing information during open discussions, we'll have a heightened sense of awareness and we won't be fooled by these tricks that come at us. Hey, the world is a beautiful place. There's a very small percentage of people who perpetuate schemes against us. But the vast majority of the world is just like this beautiful meeting we're having today. So we together have these conversations, make each other aware, feel safe. If you ever have a question about any of these sorts of things I discussed today, there are resources. Start with your loved ones, share with your loved ones, share with your trusted banker. They've probably heard of so much of this and they would love to have the conversation with you. And then of course, there are legal ways to take care of this too. If, there are, oh my goodness, the US Senate has created a special committee on aging and a fraud hotline. And then there's the FBI. They want to know. There's plenty of resources to take care of you out there and protect you and your money. I'm wondering a bunch of things. I would love to turn it over to you guys to ask me any questions, make any comments you might have. I also want to know what you'd like to hear about in the future. If we get together again in the future, what other sorts of things would you like to talk about from a banking perspective? So go ahead. Anybody have anything for me?
Any questions? That was really informative. Thank you. I like your golden rules. It's so sad. I mean, these fraudsters, as you call them, come at you from so many ways. You know, your email, your mail, your phone, your doorstep. It's very scary. My mom kind of got hooked into the sweepstakes. Oh, surprise! You could win $1 million. Just send us a check for $5. And she sadly sent that first check. She got stacks of mail. Almost there's like a whole community out there that do this, all these different companies. And sadly, she was an Alzheimer's patient and she fell for every one of them. If I didn't get the mail before she did, oh boy, she was writing. That was awful. But I'm sad to hear that that's still going on. I would hope that the FBI, or you said there's now a Senate committee, that they would stop these companies because they're prolific. Has anybody else had this experience or have any questions? Patricia.
Yeah, two things. We are members of Navy Federal, have been since I was 20. But I get phone calls that says Navy Federal Credit Union, and that starts with a 255, 703-255, which is the Vienna number. And it's really, I always try to screen my calls, especially because I have a landline, thinking, well, this is not anyone I know. And I won't even say hello because I just don't want to deal with it. I answer it so I don't go to the machine and then hang up. So that's an issue right there. And then I think my mother has a friend who has cleaned her house and is, trying to get $40,000 from her so she can buy a house.
Oh.
And I keep telling my mother, this is not a friend. This is not a friend. And my mother keeps saying, but I feel so sorry for her. She really needs my help. And I said, you may need that money yourself. So even though that's not a company or a fraudulent person per se behind a bigger thing, it's very difficult. My mother is not confused. She's just sympathetic to this person. And it is a very big issue. And a lot of people say, I don't have a landline anymore because I got all those calls. I don't have a landline.
Mm-hmm.
Well, my cell phone doesn't work in the house. I'm in a dead zone. So I have to have a landline. But even though it's a normal number, looking at it, you think, oh, it's Navy Federal calling me. It's not them. So it's really hard to know, should I answer the phone? Should I not answer the phone? It's very difficult. And I'm only 68. So I can imagine if I was my mother's age, 89. So I'm glad to hear this talk, but I still think there's a lot more that needs to be done because it is so prevalent. We get calls all the time. We're old and we have a landline, so we're a great target. So that's all I want to say.
Well, Patricia, thank you so much for your membership, first of all.
Oh yeah, I love Navy Federal.
Oh, thank you. We love you too. Believe me, our long-standing members, that's our family. You are our family.
Yeah.
I am so sorry that anyone is posing as us. That's hard to hear. Yeah, the best bet is just don't answer the phone. Again, we would never call you. If we need to get in touch with you, we'll write.
Yeah,
we're not going to call. We're not going to. Yeah, we're never going to ask for personal information ever.
Right.
And I notice, and it is true, that as we get older, this type of behavior ramps up from fraudsters. I am in my late 50s now, and I see every year it gets more and more prevalent that they're coming after me. I think, as a lot of people say, a big part of it is you're around. A lot of people are retired, so you're more likely to answer the phone or the doorbell or your email promptly. Yeah, that's a big part of it. And then, like Jane shared, unfortunately, some of our seniors who are losing their cognition are easy targets. So I guess the best we can hope to do is really talk about it, because I don't think it's going away. I think there's so many ways to combat it, but unfortunately, they keep coming up with new schemes.
They're very clever. There's no doubt about that.
Very clever.
It's
Yes.
very sad that people would prey on, all of us, because I'm clearly old and vulnerable like, many of us. It's really sad.
Mhm.
Anybody else have a comment or any questions?
Yes, I have the question. You talked about online banking and not writing checks. Okay, I'm online for a lot of things, but I don't do online banking because for the reasons you were discussing about fraud and all, I don't see how online banking is safe. Could you please just reiterate why you think it's a good thing?
Well, you want to make sure, the first thing with your financial institution, you want to make sure that they have the highest levels of technology and security out there, and they can talk to you about that. And you want to just make sure that they have a zero tolerance policy, zero liability as well for you. So if anything should happen ever, like Navy Federal is an example, if your credit card information was compromised for some reason and someone used your credit card to charge up a vacation, and this has happened in the Caribbean vacations, we've got you. So it will never cost you a penny. So you want to check with your financial institution and make sure that no matter what could possibly happen, you are scot-free.
Okay.
There is a zero liability to you. Why do I think? I think that it's a mixed bag. I personally haven't had any trouble with my online banking. And in general, it seems to be pretty safe.
Mhm.
I hear more of a problem for people who have had their mail stolen and information taken from paper means than the online banking. We have such a network of security and we have people watching every minute. The minute something seems unusual, we're on it. Like if there was a strange charge that didn't make any sense, something that you don't normally do, we would be contacting you quickly. So I can just speak for Navy Federal, but I feel that we are doing everything possible to keep it secure. And I think the technology gives back so much of your time and just is so easy and wonderful to use in that you can, in real time, see your account balances, make a transaction. And I think that because there's a balance to everything, I think for me, that outweighs any possible bad that can go on. And there's so little right on the online banking, I mean.
I like to check every day my account. I know that seems obsessive, but I can kind of see what's going on with that. And my kids still have accounts they don't realize that I'm attached to. And so I can see what they're doing. And I wanted to say, when we were up in Canada, we were in Banff, and we went to get gasoline with my credit card from Navy Federal. And the machine didn't work quite right, and we had to use it again. And then the bill rang up very high. I got a text message on my phone immediately. And I went in and I said, what's going on? And I was amazed. We were out of the country in Canada on vacation, which we didn't tell them we were going on. It happened within a minute of using that credit card that there was a problem. And they worked it out right away. And I just thought, man, this is amazing to me that they know where I am and what I'm doing and whether it's a right or a wrong. And I pay my bills online. I love it. I have certain things come out of my account. I don't have to think about it. I know every month I'm going to have something taken out. I know it's coming. Of course, you have to have money in there, but it does help me a lot to not forget to pay a certain bill. I just love it. I think it's fabulous. I don't do it on my phone because I'm afraid I'll lose my phone, but I do it on my home computer. So just to say, I just think it's great. So.
Yes, great thoughts, Patricia. Thank you for sharing.
And that's very impressive that you instantly were able to recognize a problem and take care of it. I mean, that's really very, very reassuring. I shouldn't ask, but are other banks as good as that?
Anne Marie, I was along those lines. I was actually going to ask you maybe to elaborate a little bit more on some of the internal controls that you have been mentioning, either that Navy Federal or other, large banking institutions use to protect people's financial information and finances, but also, as potential caregivers for seniors who may be vulnerable, how can we also sort of participate in the surveillance, if you will, of our mothers and fathers' finances? Obviously, we can be co-signatories on various accounts and things like that, but maybe you can elaborate a little bit more on all the options we have for being involved in the protection and how Navy Federal and others try to protect us as well.
Well, thank you. Thank you, Jane. Sorry, I couldn't resist the Jane name. Okay. I don't really know deeply what goes on behind the scenes. There are people far smarter than I that are involved in that high tech. They're using their high tech brains and these great tools to combat everything that the criminals and the fraudsters are trying to do. So Patricia gave the best example of we see a change in pattern, a change in location, and we respond instantly. And now, if Patricia, for example, had called us and told us she was going on this vacation, we can relax that a little bit. So these systems are amazing in that, again, how the technology can be used for this response. It's just know we're on guard. I don't know how it happens exactly, the ins and outs of how that works, but we're on guard 24 hours a day, 7 days a week, minute by minute. And then as far as taking care of our loved ones, yeah, there are so many possibilities, and I am seeing more and more of this, whereas it's a great idea. As Katherine said, we have to have that conversation first, because it can be a little difficult, especially if it's our parents, to get involved with, all of a sudden we need to be a part of their finances. I think that conversation is going to take a little bit. I'm going through this myself right now. My in-laws are aging and they are having a very tough time speaking to us about sharing with us their personal business that they never did before. Yeah, so it takes some time, but as far as what we can do as the credit union, we can add you as joint owners to the accounts, which is simply the easiest way. If the family can agree to that and you can be a joint owner, then that is the way. Then of course there is the all popular power of attorney, and you can have a power of attorney drawn up and be an attorney in fact for the person who you're caregiving. It not as good, not as clean as the joint owner out. If everyone can agree to the joint ownership, oh my goodness, so simple. Power of attorney is a little tougher. Patricia, what did you wanted to add?
The one good thing about COVID, like I said, my stepfather is 99, my mother is 89. And they didn't want to go shopping for groceries. So I was ordering groceries for them that were going to be delivered to their house, even though they live in another state. I could do that online for them. Well, I was paying for it. Then he'd send me a check. Well, he has macular degeneration. So I'd get this check that kind of didn't look like a check. Finally, he said, I'm going to get you a credit card. So he went to Navy Federal, which, he's a member, I'm a member, and he got me a credit card. And I'm allowed to use that card. It came with this really almost scary note, like if I did all these other things with it, I was going to get in big trouble. They were going to let him know. And I'm like, okay, I signed the paper. But it's so helpful, because if my mother says to me, I need some slippers, but I don't want to go to the store and buy slippers, I can buy her some slippers on Amazon, pay for them with the credit card. He pays the monthly bill. He won't do anything online. He's very nervous about that, but he gets his statement and he gets his bill and he pays it. So it's been really the first step into me getting some kind of autonomy with their finances, because I've been trying, and neither one of them have any dementia issues at all. And they're like, no, we're going to take care of this. So it was really nice to be able to have that joint name on there. So, and you know, I really appreciate that. But that it was kind of a scary letter. It's like if I did anything, you know, other than what I'm supposed to do with it, they were going to take it away from me. So, but they're very aware. I have a son who works for Citi, and there are red flag things if your credit card is used, you know, someplace else or for something that you don't normally buy. Like let's say you don't drink, but all of a sudden the ABC store has a huge bill. They're going to notify you right away and tell you, hey, somebody's got your number. And they cancel the card, you have to get a new one. But it's just, it does work very well. I have not been disappointed in it. So thanks.
It does.
Thanks, City Federal.
Yeah, and thank you again. You're perfect. I mean, what you're experiencing is exactly what we're talking about here. And so what you have is you're an authorized user on that card, and yeah, so they wanted to make sure that you really understood your responsibility. But it's much like being a joint owner on the account, the same thing, you know, you are fully responsible as well. Yeah, but all of these things exist, and which makes it so much easier than ever, as Patricia was telling us, to help our loved ones even from afar. It's really good.
Well, thank you so much, Anne Marie. This has been very interesting and gosh, such useful information. We really appreciate it. And thank you, Patricia, for your comments. That really kind of brings it home. So now we're moving into our third segment. We're going to be guided by Katie Courlander of Katie Courlander Yoga. She's going to be sharing with us some relaxation and breathing techniques to tie in with our Just Breathe. So Katie, you want to take it away?
Yes, thank you. Thank you all so much for being here. I want to go over just a little bit about breathing and meditation and how it can benefit you at any age. I even have, you know, my 6-year-old will sit and breathe and can get the benefits from it. So just the natural process of breathing, right? This is not anything that you need to buy anywhere, that you need to go. If you're sitting at home, if you're in the car, if you're in line at the grocery store, you can implement these breathing techniques. And that's what's really, really wonderful about it. And just the process of using your breath naturally, or even slightly manipulating your breath, which I'll teach you one technique today. It can do so much for your body in that it can help lower your heart rate. It can help lower your blood pressure. It can help lower levels of cortisol in the body, which cortisol is, of course, the stress hormone that is created. And cortisol can also create inflammation in your body. So it's so important to be able to know how to use your breath to bring you back into a state of balance. So you may notice when you feel nervous or scared, worried, even excited, the breath tends to be stuck up here in the chest. It becomes shallow. And when you are able to slow down the breath, you can take a deeper breath. You may notice already that allows your mind to slow down as well, which is why breathing in general and practicing these breathing techniques can be a really, really great lead into meditation. Whether you already have a meditation practice at home, or if this is your first time meditating, if this is your first time doing meditation, I'm so excited that you're here to learn. But you may have probably already heard some of the benefits of meditation, and that can include, just like with the breathing techniques, lower levels of cortisol in the body, lower your heart rate, lower your blood pressure. It can help you to sleep better. It can help you to manage pain. It can help you to become more in touch with your mental, emotional, and physical body. There are so many more benefits of meditation, but I'm just kind of touching on a few of the big ones. So what I want to go through today, I don't want to waste too much time being all talky with you, but we are going to go through a breathing technique called the 3-part breath. And what this breath is going to do, we're going to isolate parts of the body. So it's going to be the abdomen, the rib cage, and the chest. We're going to breathe into each of those areas. And then I'll teach you how to link those 3 areas together so that the breath feels like one wave coming down and up into the body, and then again out. And this is a really, really, really helpful breathing technique if you are feeling stressed out, if you're feeling anxious or worried about something. You can just take a few moments. I mean, even just 3 to 5 minutes of breathing can be really beneficial to lower that stress. And then after we breathe, I'm going to lead you into a short body scan meditation. And I'll ask you to bring your awareness to different parts of your body. And this is going to help you discover any pain or tension in your body and discover unwanted feelings. And by practicing that, you, one, begin to connect with your physical body and just know how you're feeling. But over time, with practice, you can begin to understand the causes of unwanted feelings in your body. So let's go ahead and start. I want you to, wherever you are, sit up nice and tall. Yes, I see everybody. Just grew 3 inches. Sit up nice and tall. If you feel comfortable, close your eyes. If you don't want to close your eyes, that's fine. Just gaze down into your lap. Take your hands to rest on your thighs. And for a moment, just bring your awareness to your natural breath. For so much of our days, we don't pay attention to the way that we breathe. We kind of take for granted that the breath comes in and out of the body without us really having to do anything. So take this moment here to watch your breath. And without judgment, notice the way the breath feels as it enters your body. And notice the way it feels as it exits your body. Notice the temperature of your breath. Notice the quality of your breath. So whether your breath is long or short, if it's ragged, if it's smooth, again, without judgment, simply notice. And now I want you to pay attention to where your breath lands in your body. When you breathe in, do you feel most of your breath in your belly, in your chest, somewhere in between? And starting with this level of awareness of your natural breath, I'm going to now ask you to breathe only into your abdomen, your belly. And you can feel this by taking one hand and placing your hand over your belly button. As you breathe in, focus all of your breath right there to your hand. Feel your belly expand. Exhale, feel your belly button draw back toward your spine, your abdomen contracts. Inhale, fill your belly. Exhale, release your breath. Breathe into your belly. Breathe out. And try to let go all of the breath that you took in. We'll do 2 more right here, only focusing on your abdomen. After your second exhale, Take both of your hands and slide them up to your rib cage. So you can have one hand on either side of your ribs or one hand just on the front of your rib cage. Now as you inhale, again, fill up your belly, but this time send the breath up into your rib cage. See if you can feel the ribs expand. Exhale out of your ribs and out of your belly. And we'll continue with those two parts of the body. Inhale to the belly, ribs. Exhale, ribs, belly. Breathe into your belly and your ribs. Exhale out of your ribs. Feel your belly button come back to your spine. 2 more times at your pace. At the end of that exhale, bring one palm back over your belly button. Take your other hand and rest it over your heart. And now, as you breathe in, fill up your belly, your ribs, and send the breath all the way up to your chest. Fill the space around your heart. Exhale out of your chest, out of your rib cage, out of your belly. Breathe in, belly, ribs, chest. Breathe out, chest, ribs, belly. Continue with this 3-part breath, allowing your inhale to rise like a wave and fall like a wave. Take 3 more full 3-part breaths. When you've completed all 3 breaths, release your hands back down to your thighs and return to your natural inhale and exhale. Keep your eyes closed or keep your soft gaze downward. And just notice how your body feels in this moment. Do you feel like you've created a little more space? Has the quality of your breath changed? Now bring your attention down to your feet. I'm going to name parts of your body. You don't have to move these parts, but draw your energy, your focus, and your awareness to each part as I name it. So starting with the soles of your feet. Bring your awareness to your heels, the balls of your feet, your toes, the tops of your feet, your ankles. Draw your awareness up your calves and your knees. Noticing throughout this body scan if you are met with tension, pain, or unwanted feelings. Glide your awareness up your thighs, to your hips, your lower abdomen, middle abdomen, your upper abdomen and your rib cage. Draw your awareness into your chest, your shoulders, and bring your awareness down each arm through your upper arm, your elbow, forearms, wrists, the backs of your hands, the palms of your hands, and all 10 fingers. Draw your awareness now back up your arms to your shoulders, the tops of your shoulders, your neck, jaw, your face. Bring your awareness to your nose, your eyebrows, your forehead, the top of your head. Begin now to draw your awareness down the back of your head, back of your neck, your upper back, middle back, low back. Become aware of the backs of your thighs, the space behind your knees, your calves, your ankles, until you draw your awareness all the way back down to the soles of your feet. Take another moment here to stay with your natural breath. If you noticed any areas of tension or pain or discomfort, then you can focus again on that area as you breathe. Continue the gentle rise and fall of your belly and your chest. Slowly bring your chin toward your chest. Rock your right ear toward your right shoulder. Bring your chin back toward your chest. Take your left ear toward your left shoulder. Bring your chin back to your chest. And when you feel ready, inhale to bring your chin back parallel to the ground and blink your eyes open. Thank you so much for breathing with me. I apologize if you heard my son yelling up the stairs.
Not a problem. That was wonderful. I hope everybody else is as relaxed as I am. I could like take a nap. That's great. Thank you so much, Katie. That was wonderful.
Welcome.
And now for our last presenter, it is Angela Bailey from the Kensington Reston Senior Living. She's going to share with us how the senior living facilities are coping with the pandemic. So thank you, Angela, for joining us. And I know they had a little glitch. They were offline during one of the other presentations, but hopefully they are back online. And Angela, take it away.
Thank you so much, Jane, and thank you so much to everybody this morning. We are very excited to be here. I also have with me Susan Garvey, who is our Director of Community Outreach, and she is going to be, she's going to kick us off this morning.
Oh, thank you, Angela. And thank you, Katie. Yes, we lost power about 20 minutes ago, completely went black. And so having a moment to breathe with Katie, who has done our Wellness Wednesdays for us, was really helpful. So I think we're raring to go. So Angela and I are sitting here together without masks on because we are tested on a regular basis for COVID, and I'm happy to say we're both negative. So we don't have our masks on, otherwise we definitely would be. It's great to be in this informational webinar with, as a sponsor with Navy Federal and AARP, so thanks so much for having us. As the Shepherd Center's mission is to age in place, when that is no longer possible, it's time to consider alternatives. And assisted living and memory care might be something that you want to take a look at. So we're just going to talk about the newest facility that's in Fairfax. We're so blessed to live in Fairfax County. There's so many opportunities to make a match for where you, your loved one, your spouse, your parents could be making their next chapter. So I'm personally really happy to have made my career move from the ED at the Shepherd Center over here to being the Director of Community Outreach, because it gives me the opportunity to make connections with people and have them look to us as a resource. We take being a community member very important, and we have done numerous webinars such as this one and other things that I'll tell you about, because having someone to talk to about this next chapter who is open, fair, compassionate, and knowledgeable is really important. And I have found everyone in this industry to be that way. Has anyone noticed the construction on Sunrise Valley Road? Now, it took me 20 years to know which one was Sunrise Valley and which one was Sunset Hills. So Sunrise Valley is the one with the golf course. And we're very lucky that the back of the golf course is the back of our facility that's under construction right now. So we're not open yet, but it is going to open in early March. And we're not only incorporating the beauty of the golf course and the trees, but we're a 75-room boutique community. So let me share a little bit of the background on how the Kensington got started. There were 3 executives from Sunrise who felt that perhaps they had another way, a better way of doing things. And they partnered with an executive from the Marriott Corporation as well. And together they came up with a vision of making the communities feel like home, and took it a step further by making a promise to love your family like we love our own. Currently, there are 3 communities that are in California, 1 in White Plains, 1 in Kensington, Maryland, and now 2 in Virginia. Our Kensington Falls Church just celebrated their 3rd year anniversary, and I know Jane is very familiar with them, and the Shepherd Center has done a lot with Kitty over there. And as I said, the Kensington Reston is going to open in early March. So we're here to help families be sure that their loved ones are getting all their needs met. And I'd like to introduce Angela Bailey again. Here's a picture of our team as we are growing and staffing up. Let me have Angela tell a little bit about herself and background and take it from here.
Thank you, Susan. So, like Susan said, I'm the executive director of the Kensington Reston, and we are very, very excited to be a part of the Reston community. Whenever the Kensington enters into a community, it's really our goal to become a good community partner and a great resource for everybody who is in the area. My background is clinical. I am a speech pathologist, and I was actually prior to me taking this job, I was in the rehab world in various settings. So started out in skilled nursing facilities and then went to outpatient, home health, and also in senior living. And when I got to senior living, it really, really grasped my heart. And I found my home. And so that is why I transitioned a little bit, made a slight change, and came over to Kensington Senior Living. And I have been incredibly happy and incredibly blessed to be a part of this team opening the Reston community. So I know that everybody has COVID on their mind a lot, and especially when it comes to talking about senior living. And so I really wanted to take this opportunity today to just speak to a couple of different things that really I think everybody should be aware of at home when you are moving about in your day, and then also speaking to how we in senior living have addressed COVID. Obviously, for the Reston community, we are not open yet, and so we don't have residents just quite yet, but we do have other communities within Kensington Senior Living that are, fully open and do have residents. So some of the things that I'm going to talk about today are things that we have done in our existing communities and things that we plan to do in Reston. And I really would love for this to be interactive. So if anybody does have any questions, please feel free to interrupt me at any time and ask those questions. And so when we talk about COVID and managing COVID in our communities, we really look at the infection control piece, and there's 2 parts to that. So there's the environmental piece to that, and then there are precautions that we take to control the spread of any infection. And then the 3rd piece, but by no means in order of importance, is the engagement piece. So I will touch on all 3 of those. With environmental modifications, so Kensington Senior Living acted very, very quickly, in identifying. We know that COVID spreads through droplets. In our existing communities, and again for Reston, the air filters were all changed and connected to a filtration system that would help slow the spread of droplets or minimize the droplets going from one space in the physical building to another space. In some of our communities, we also have been able to get thermal scanners, and these are scanners that you actually walk through, and they individually check temperature, and everybody has different body temperatures, but they are able to they're able to immediately let us know if somebody coming through them has a temperature, and they're a lot more accurate than the infrared thermometers that we use, they do check entire body temperature. In each of our communities, we also have designated quarantine areas. And in those quarantine areas, they are, and this kind of falls under both the environmental and the infection control, we have dedicated staff to those areas. So we do not have team members that are providing care for and treating our residents that may have COVID or are symptomatic with other ones. And in fact, that is actually true in all of our communities, that we have, we have switched to a cohort scheduling where our memory care staff members do not travel to our assisted living. And our assisted living do not travel to memory care. And again, that is just to minimize any cross-spreading and keep everything controlled. Related to infection control precautions, we have our team members and we have residents. We do have the proper PPE, including specific types of masks, face shields, eye shields, depending on which department the team member is working in and what their job duties are for those team members. We have, of course, gowns. We work very, very closely with our local departments of health in each of our locations to ensure that we are following all of their standards and in many cases above. We also, here in the Information Center as well, we check temperatures daily, and throughout the time that we're here, we check symptoms of all of our team members also. And then with residents, we do the same. We have temperature and symptom checks. We keep a very, very close eye on our residents, and as much as they are able, we also encourage masks. And in addition to that, we have encouraged increased hand washing and sanitizing, hand sanitizing in the communities. Related to sanitizing the spaces, we only use CDC approved cleansers for our actual communities. And then we've done a couple of additional things as well with our, even with our deliveries in our communities. The deliveries are actually made outside of the community. They are completely sanitized and then they're brought in. So just a lot of different precautions and things we have put in place to keep our residents safe and our communities infection-free. In terms of engagement, we all know that COVID has had a significant impact on our seniors. And with everything being shut down, we hear all the time about the isolation, and this is true, we hear it from families day in and day out, even considering putting a family member or a loved one in senior living. There are concerns of, is my loved one going to be engaged? Am I going to be able to see them? What's going to happen so that we can stay connected? And so one of the things that we implemented very, very early on during COVID was we rolled out Slack in all of our communities. If you're familiar with Slack, you know that it is actually a workplace platform where you have channels, they're private channels of communication. And so what we did is we rolled it out in each of our communities and gave each resident a Slack channel and then invited their family members to join that channel. And then we had our care team, they were sending messages on behalf of the resident. They were reading messages back to the resident from the family members. We could share photos, videos, we could do live calls. It is a great, great platform that really helped us keep our residents engaged with their families and connected with their families. And then within the communities, we have taken a lot of precautions as well inside of our communities related to socially distant visits. A lot of our communities have outdoor space. At our Reston community, we have a very large outdoor patio, and we're not sure what things are going to look like in March, but we are definitely looking at some various ways that we can incorporate our outdoor space and incorporate some of our potentially keep some of our spaces empty as well, because it is a new building, and be able to utilize those in different ways with our to be able to connect our residents with their families. Any questions so far?
Does anybody have any questions about things they've covered already? Well, I guess keep going.
Sounds good. So really, in terms of COVID, that is what I have. We continue, to act very quickly with any new information learned, with any new strategies that we can implement. Kensington Senior Living has done a great job at acting very, very quickly and staying very nimble to be able to address those concerns. So I have really appreciated being a part of the team, especially during this time. So I thank you for the time today. I'm going to pass it back over to Susan, and then we'll close out.
So one of the exciting things, because I've never been on this journey before, of something new, is called the models. So everybody wants to know, what does it look like? And you have to take a drive down. I pass this every day on my way to work for the Shepherd Center, and I still pass it every day to come here to our information center and just watching this thing be built. So one of the first things they do are these things called the models, because people want to know, well, what does your 2-bedroom suite look like? What does a studio look like? And the attention to detail, the feeling of what these rooms are like, you feel like you've entered Oz, because you're going through construction, you got a hard hat on, you got mud, you got dust everywhere, and you open this door and it's like, oh, okay, I get it. So we're kind of calling it French provincial chic farmhouse. So it's a little more relaxed than our Kensington Falls Church, which is urban, and it's reds and golds, and it's beautifully elegant. This is elegant in its own way, but it's comfy, and the pillows are comfy, and the seating is round. So one of the fun things to do is to bring people over here to our information center, which is actually decorated with the accessories, chairs, pillows, candlesticks, you name it, that are going to go into the community when we move, to come get a feel for it, and then utilize this big screen that Angela and I are looking at you at. And we would send 2 of our teammates over to the models, and we can sit here and have them go through the models with you virtually. So we're going to start with that. And then as we get closer into November, we're going to open it up, and we're going to have virtual tours. And so people can sign up to come see and get a feel about what this is going to look like. And back to that community information and being a community player, not only as a sponsor for many things. I get to go to a golf tournament on Thursday. It's going to be 75 degrees. This is going to be great. It's with the Greater Reston Chamber. So we're out and about in the community, but we have a lot of things such as this type of format that are webinars that are given on a regular basis. We have Wellness Wednesdays, and everything from yoga to art to meditation, Medicare review coverage, aromatherapy. And then we've partnered with Parkinson's, and we have a communication club on Tuesdays at 2 o'clock for caregivers as well as those going through the journey of Parkinson's. And we have Caregiver Connect once a month on Tuesday nights. So if you look at our website, Kensington, Reston, you can find under events certain things that are for free and informational that are not just about us, but they're about areas of concern, areas that people have wanted to explore. I met a woman yesterday who works for the medical team who had a midlife crisis, went to Europe and learned how to do flower arrangements And I said, wow, I would love to have you come do that for our Wellness Wednesday. And she said, well, that would be something great that I'd like to do. So we will close on this note that, you know, we're here, we're new, we haven't opened, but we are in the information center. We'd love to see you. If you want to come over, give us a call. And thanks so much for having us be part of this informational day.
Thank you.
Thank God we kept the look. Yes.
Thank you both, Susan and Angela. That was really informative. I wasn't real clear. I knew senior living facilities were having to jump through a lot of extra hoops, but it's reassuring to know what all you're doing. And I learned something. I'd never heard of Slack. So that's very interesting. So thank you for sharing. We're glad you were part of this. Does anybody out there in Zoom land have any questions for either Susan or Angela? Yes, no?
You're all so relaxed from yoga.
Okay.
That's true. I woke up from yoga. Quick question.
Scott?
It sounds like you're doing a testing program with your staff there. Are at other open Kensingtons in the area, are you also testing residents? And if so, how often, sort of how are those protocols being managed?
Yes, and so we are working in each of our communities. We're working with our local departments of health so that we are testing everybody properly. I can speak to at least our Falls Church community. They're testing at 25% of everybody weekly. So everybody gets tested once a month, essentially.
That sounds great. All right, well, if there's no other questions, I think we're going to finish actually a few minutes early. I want to thank everybody for joining us today. It's great to see you all in your little, boxes. I'm sure you are leaving our session with a lot of good knowledge. I know I learned a lot. I want to thank our wonderful speakers and, of course, our sponsors. This, as I mentioned, is actually the first one. There's 2 more in Just Breathe. We've got you. So if you enjoyed today, we've got more planned ahead. So please consider signing up. That's the reservation number. The next one is Tuesday, November 17th, and then followed in December on December 8th. So thank you all so much and have a great day.
Is there a number for that? Go to sign up, number to call.
Oh, the number is 703-281. Is it 0601? Is that correct, Irma? I'm pretty sure we have a reservation line. Is that correct?
0601.
0601. Okay, so 703-281-0601.
Okay.
We look forward to seeing everybody in November, where we will have.
This is Carol. Will you send me information on the remaining balance extras?
Yes, I've got a note. I'll do that. I'll get that to you. I promise.
That was wonderful. Thank you very much.
Okay. Well, thank you for attending, everybody. So have a good day.
Thank you.
Bye-bye.
Bye.